All right. Welcome, Three Birds fans, to another episode of Three Birds and a Punt. I am one of the co-hosts of my name is Afia, and I am joined by my friend John. Say hey, John.
Hey, hey.
All right. As you can see, we're missing again from our crew Whip tonight, but we'll hold it down. Obviously, it's a crazy day, so we had to come out tonight to really give our take on everything that's been happening in the NFL, Sixers, and beyond. So don't forget to subscribe right there. Follow us. Hit that subscribe button and look forward to having a great show. Let's just dive right into it, okay? First, I want to make sure to remind everybody that the Three Birds are happy to announce that we've partnered with AmazeMedia Labs to be the official Eagles podcast for the Pigskin Network. Okay, we're very excited for this partnership. You can find Three Birds and a Punt on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Megaphone, or wherever you get your podcast. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, at Three Birds and a Punt. Please download and subscribe. We really do appreciate all the support we've been getting.
That's the truth. We really do.
Absolutely. All right. So I really just want to jump into everything that's been going on. The title of our show, episode 38, is called A Hard Day's Night, because that's really what it felt like yesterday. Okay, to see and witness I guess everybody had been waiting for March 10th. Okay, everybody. And I don't know, did it live up? Let me ask you, John, did it live up to your expectations? Like, how are you feeling after that game?
Thank you for that, Steph. Oh my gosh. It was disappointing. Epic, epic failure, epic meltdown. We built it up to be such a thing. It's going to be the FU game for Ben, how his antics and how he left Philly. Ultimate revenge game for Harden. Ultimate revenge game for Embiid for how things him and KD have been going back and forth at the end of games. I felt like we lost a good opportunity to show the world that we're here to play. Now it's one game out of 82 games, but to come out flat like that, it, it's they definitely got up for the game. They didn't appear to miss many shots. They I think they hit on 62% of their field goals. That's
Yep.
absurd. That's
Yep.
absurd. And the Sixers going in a half were like shooting 25%
Yes. It
from
was
field
it was
goal.
a
Oof.
very atypical night. Like, let me preface whatever I'm going to say about this by starting with, it was a very atypical night. Okay, it's not very often that James Harden is gonna go, what, like 3 for 15 or 3 for 16, 3 for 17, 3 for 17.
Three for
Okay.
17.
Maxi has been killing it, so he was bound to kind of come back to earth a little bit. It just so happened to be the worst game ever to choose for him to come crashing back down to earth. Tobias, he was Tobias. And really the only person giving maximum effort was Joel Embiid. But even him, he didn't really score too much outside of the free throw. So I think there was and really the only person giving maximum effort was Joel Embiid. But even him, he didn't really score too much outside of the free throw. So I think there was um okay, sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that. Why don't I let John keep talking while I figure out some technical difficulties here?
Just to piggyback what you were where you were going, it
Why
they
don't I let John keep?
the defense what did not show up. They let Kevin Durant get into his spots. They let Kyrie get hot. They let Seth Curry. Seth Curry was cooking our defense, cooking them. cooking them. Andre Drummond, before he got hurt, he did his own thing, and for those guys, they were up for it. We were just flat. Our offense was flat. Our defense, we couldn't stop anything in the beginning. Um, we couldn't generate stops. It seemed like when we did get a stop, they go right down the court and score again. And it seemed like we can never get take advantage of those stops, those opportunities where we get stops on defense. And Kevin Durant is, I don't know, he's got into his spots.
Listen, the net wasn't even moving
Brutal.
with with the threes that he was raining down. So he was locked in. I mean, they were hunting this moment in a way, right? So I definitely think that. I mean, there's two things I feel about what happened last night. One, the Sixers were completely unprepared to play. Just
Completely.
for an atmosphere, for a game that has probably been circled. You know how in football, right? There are games that you circle your schedule because you know it's either you're playing against your former team or you're coming. It's some type of whatever, right? And
Hmm.
so you have a lot of players coming back to the Sixers with a chip on their shoulder.
That's
I
true.
think every net player came to Philadelphia with a chip on their shoulder,
Oh yeah, they were
especially
laughing. They
Steph
were
Curry,
laughing and joking the
especially
whole
Andre Drummond,
time.
right?
They were laughing and joking and loose.
Right.
The Sixers were loose, but
The Sixers, I don't know. They weren't there. They weren't there, right? That I think is the biggest thing that I got from watching the game last night. Like they weren't locked in. I don't know if it was the moment. I don't know if it was the frenzy, all the extra, the playoff atmosphere, and so on and so forth. I know everybody's talking about, look, classic James Harden falls apart every time there's a big moment. Can't handle the spotlight. Can't handle the pressure. Um, we already traded away a player like that, so it's a little concerning to hear those things being cast about now. But I don't know if it was necessarily that, like the moment, even though there was elements of that happening in the game. I think the game plan was poor.
I agree. The game plan was brutal. Brutal.
Brutal. Brutal. It didn't play on any of our player strengths. It completely fed into what the Nets were doing. And I don't think there were many adjustments to figuring out what the Nets were doing. It just didn't seem like Sixers ball in a way. Like just a lot of foul hunting, a lot of fast breaks, just too much too soon. And it bit us in the ass by the tune of 29 points.
Hmm. And Kevin Durant said something after the game that like really stuck out to me. He was like, "They're bad. They're not a good transition team." And I was like, "Oof." I'm like, I'm like, we're decent, but I mean, the litmus test was that game. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to see, but it is only one game. It's tough. Doc didn't get these guys up. They didn't put them in
Yeah.
the right spot. Um, the
Yeah.
rotations
What?
are a little iffy. Some of the I'm like, why wasn't Isaiah Joe in more? Why give some of those guys? If you see people are struggling like that, you see your starters are struggling. Work other people in.
I,
Maybe they have the hot hand. And that's the thing. The difference between Brett Brown and Doc. Doc is like Doc will never change his rotations, and that's kind of scary headed as we head to the playoffs. Who knows what's going to happen? We have a team built for a championship, but Doc can ruin it by his
yeah.
rotations and playing playing bad combinations, giving up a lead. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was a game earlier this season where we were up 11. He put in Korkmaz, Danny Green, this, that, and whoever, and 11-point lead ended up being us like swung, and we were down by 13. I'm like, wait, how do you even let it get to that point? Once it gets to like, I don't know. I
No, I completely agree with you, John. It's maddening to see. I was watching the game, and at one point, Joel's kind of cutting the lead, and honestly, Joel didn't get no help last night. So I'm not gonna say it was all on Doc. The players weren't given they had shots. it just didn't go in.
They
Like
seem
that
to
was
pass up a lot, right?
right,
This
right,
is really
exactly.
like their offense is so predictable though, and that's
It is, and then a lot. Some of those passes didn't even make sense. Like, why are you giving? I understand the idea of wanting to give Matisse Thybulle some shots, but not from the 3 point
that's true.
range. I'm just not there. But I just wondered. At one point the game was kind of getting a little close. It seemed as though Joel had been able to kind of claw us back in it to a certain extent, and then Doc sent him to the bench, and he had out there nobody but cold players. Okay, there's one person on the team that has been shooting somewhat efficiently.
Yep.
One.
Yep.
And you sat him for a large stretch of the second quarter. And we never were able to get even close enough to, threatening them at that point.
I agree. That it's
So,
disappointing. We have championship aspirations for this team, and they just crapped the bed. They really did. On the
yeah,
national stage, it was the only game we thought we were coming to smash them, and we got whooped.
right.
Similar to
Yeah,
that Boston game. Oof.
right. I don't want to make a bigger thing of it, a bigger thing of it than it needs to be, because I know, regular season games have their, you know, regular season games have their wow, that looks so sorry guys. Little fashion moment here. Regular season games have their, their moments, but they're not the end all be all. Like, we really just have to get ourselves ready for a game 7 series. What was alarming to me was thinking about the idea that Doc's still not, like, as you say, changing. He's not reacting to the moment as it is. He doesn't seem to be. He seems to only want to rely on his players to overcome the game plan rather
Mhm.
than expanding the game plan to maximize his players. And so I'm a little concerned that, as life happens, if we get down, like the tendencies that were there regardless of coach are still there, to kind of in big moments kind of just show up a little small.
Yeah.
And you thought Doc would be able to overcome that, like with his experience and his expertise. He should be able to calm these types of people down. Maybe they've never been in a quite a playoff atmosphere, but he's certainly been in a quite off playoff atmosphere. So he should be able to get his guys ready and get his guys prepared, and they weren't. And that's what troubles me more long term than the game. And I know we didn't really talk about Ben and the whole Ben Spector, but honestly, like, I don't really prefer to give him too much energy. I know he was enjoying that win that he contributed nothing to. If anybody had any type of whatever, it was Seth Curry, who went
Yeah.
off, of course. And when you have a little bit of a grudge against the father-in-law who traded you and the team,
He had a heat check. Seth Curry was on fire. Like there was a point where he scored like back to back baskets, and Doc called a timeout after the last one. I'm like, you call a timeout now? Oh man.
right, a little too late. That
Seth hit
boy,
it. Seth hit a three and was walking. And Doc called a timeout, and he was like still on like the Sixers bench. And then he like made his way over it. I was
yeah, I
like,
saw that.
wow, they are embarrassing us on
Yes,
national TV.
it was definitely an embarrassment. Hopefully, James McCartan called it like a necessary wake up call. I don't. I hate love when athletes say getting their ass kicked was a wake up call. Like, I don't know how you're not awake in your professional sport. You play $1 billion sport. You should be awake every moment of it. Um.
It's a marathon, and I think
Right.
like with a game this late like that, they're just like kind of going through the motions, but also they're confident that they're going to hit those shots, and
Right.
when they don't, like damn, okay, well we got another quarter left. Maybe we can make a run. Maybe we can make a run. Maybe we can cut the deficit. Maybe we can cut it to single digits. It
Did
just
you
never
see at the
happens.
end of
We
the
never
game?
turn the corner.
Harden's hamstring was getting iced, heated, treated.
Rightfully so, because he's old now. He has to take care of his body a little more, and I'm glad to see that. Hopefully, he's home getting treatment now and
Yeah, he
getting
was
ready for
getting some
Sunday.
treatment. Then he was out. Then he was out partying into the wee hours with Travis. Maybe I don't know some celebrities, which is fine. Like I have no problems with James Harden going out to party. I just thought it was funny that he got his leg treated. Like he went and we saw his leg getting treated at the game, so we could all see. Oh, maybe was he a little hurt? And then he's out later that night. So that kind of quickly dispels the idea that he might have been aching a little bit, aching but still could get up. And I think that's fine. But I also think it's important for James Harden to recognize that you can enjoy yourself, you can have a good time. Please, you know, um, blow off steam after a bad night. But we have one goal and one goal only, and that's to win a championship. And if you're not fully 100% invested in that goal, um, what are we doing? It's a waste.
That's true. I think he is. I think he is, but one factor that we're missing is that when he was on the Nets, he was the only one available for long stretches of the season. So he probably he's injured, be the marquee person to carry the team while Kyrie can't play on the road, can't play at home. KD was out. He's the main one. He's second fiddle to nobody. So I think like that, and now he's coming here. He really didn't have. I don't know.
Maybe.
They haven't clicked yet. They haven't
Yeah.
clicked. They're
No,
close.
I agree. I
They took
100%
a major
agree.
step, a slight step back, slight blip. I think they'll be all right. The,
Yeah.
the last 17 games coming up, we'll see. Now is just for seeding, and then the playoffs. And I hope we do not see the Brooklyn in the playoffs, but I think we could beat them in a 7 game series.
I
I,
think we
I
could beat
think
them in a 7 game series. Um,
they're not going to hit 62%
no, they're
from
not going
the
to hit
field.
60, 65, 69% of their shots. I do think it might be difficult if we can't have better defense. I do think that our defense was really, really bad, and that has been also a trend. So, not to say, it's just going to be extremely interesting to me. And I think I don't know if it comes down to a question of talent. I wonder if it almost will come down to a question of coaching,
I think
and
so.
we'll see. We'll have to see. All right, let us go on to another still invigorating conversation. As always, Three Birds and a Punt are a Eagles based brand podcast, and with everything going on in the NFL, I we have to talk about everything that's going on in the NFL, okay? Because it's been crazy these last couple of days. I honestly don't even know where to begin just because of everything that's going on. But I guess I'll start with the news that dropped tonight. Um, that Deshaun Watson had been criminally cleared of any wrongdoing, and he was not going to be indicted for his sexual assault, sexual harassment cases. And he is now open to be traded to any number of teams that want to trade for him. And it is a QB needy market, as we've seen with some of these other deals that have gone on recently. Wentz to the Commanders. I'm looking at you.
Captain
Um,
Commander.
Commander. Oh my god, I hate that name. I hate it. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. I wanna start with this Watson thing. Um, because I think it's important to kind of give our opinion on it as we're commentators and give it a spin to an Eagles bent and really let it be known, as a woman fan of the Eagles, it would be extreme. It's hard for me to think about supporting a team that would want that type of person, not player, not
Person.
player, person, um to front their organization in a model exemplary steadfast way. They already jettisoned another quarterback whom they thought they had done their due diligence on, but it turns out he can't handle pressure. He can't handle being criticized. He can't handle the, me not we. I mean, sorry, we not me. It makes me nervous to think about the sound decision making of a team that would hire a person who has these type of allegations in his background, and the criminal part has been um, handled. So yes, he will not go to jail over this. Okay, there's still a civil component that's ongoing. Okay, there may or may not be a settlement. He may or may not have to. We may never know the real true details of what happened. Okay, there's still a NFL punishment to be meted out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Potentially the precedent is 6 games. So we have to think about, okay, he's not going to be available for 6 games. How are we going to make that work? There's a lot of moving parts to trading for Deshaun Watson. But if you have to ask me, and my humble opinion, if I had any say in it, it's a no for me. It's a
It's a no
no
for
for
me
me.
too.
He's radioactive. Stay away. John?
I second that. I second that. Talent's there, but those allegations are serious and damning. Like I couldn't back a player on my team that would do that, and I hope that person will never be allowed to play another game in the NFL if that were the case. Um, talented, but no,
Yeah, no, the talent's
and
undeniable.
any team that picks him up is going to be vilified. It's going to be it's a hot mess because then that shows you he's passive aggressive also. And do you really want another? Do you really want a quarterback that's like that? That in the public eye is like the apple of everyone's eye, and like outside of doing all this shady stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No,
No, call the
no.
shit. We out here to tell the truth. And if the little babies are listening, close your ears, okay?
it it's a hard pass. Hard pass talent, yeah, but nah. And to come here, if he were to come here, oh,
Here. Oh my god. And
mm,
I'm like so incredibly I saw a tweet a couple of hours ago that made me a little nervous. He was like, Deshaun Watson is going to have meetings with all the teams interested in trading for him and decide, make a decision on where he'll waive his trade clause. And I was like, oh, maybe he'll be sold into, maybe Howie will sell him on some shit. And I really was just like, no, I the Philadelphia Eagles, or Philadelphia in general, I should say, has the most demanding media market in the country. Dare
mhm.
I say, maybe the world, if I'm in a sports perspective, from a
Mhm.
sports perspective.
Oh yeah.
Okay. They can support and pay reporters in ways Philadelphia can pay support reporters in ways that other cities can't. And if he's trying to rehab his image, restore his standing in his community, and do all the things that he wants to do to kind of um um get to put this all behind him, he should not come to Philadelphia. You do not want to take questions from our reporters. You do not want to have our reporters digging into your background. Jeff McClain, everybody knows Jeff. If you are a Philadelphia Eagles fan, you know, and I'm not, I have no idea, I don't know. But I can just imagine one of our intrepid reporters spending a whole year on this Deshaun Watson thing. And it
Mhm.
doesn't matter what we, and I know the perfect timing, whether we win, whether we're heading for the playoffs, or whether we're shit in the bed. They will drop it at the most optimal moment to just cause the most utter chaos. And every single day on the radio, the reporters, let me not only forget the talk show hosts, the
Oh
jockeys on the
yeah.
radio.
Oh yeah. Not 97.5. Oh yeah. WIP be on deck. It would be crazy.
It would be
Imagine report. We wake up
with
Sunday morning before
listen,
the games start, and here's a report about the show.
another report dropping every Sunday that the game. Like I really think there's some reporters out there that are like they were licking their chops just thinking about how they can sort of like burnish their credentials on a Deshaun Watson story. Okay.
My buddy Howard Eskin would run him through the mill.
I just it I understand it from a sports perspective. He's 25 years old, 20 maybe 26 years old. He's a perennial Pro Bowler already. You're getting a extremely dynamic player. Um, but I don't think the what he gives you on the field outweighs what off the field will come with it. And I still think the Eagles are going to try. I know Howie's going to try. I just hope Deshaun Watson says no. Same way Russell Wilson said no, right? Same way Russell Wilson said no.
Here you go, Deshaun. We'll give you a 4-year extension, $100 million.
Key to the city, your own little back room where you can do whatever you want.
Time out.
No, I'm just kidding. But it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. I think to me, I foresee a Deshaun Watson at a place like Carolina, like nobody's paying attention down there, right? Maybe the Seahawks, even like no one.
Tennessee, ooh,
right? A swap that makes sense because they could get a QB out of that. I think that would be really appealing to the Houston Texans. But aren't they in the same division? So
same division. The Colts.
Yeah, that's a sleeper. That's a sleeper. Damn. There are a lot of other teams that I think could see the market being way more appealing to him. This is at a standpoint where he talked about himself wanting to rehab his image and rehab this, that, and the third, which disclaimer, I'm not calling Deshaun Watson a narcissist. I'm just saying that people with narcissistic tendencies tend to enjoy this type of thing where they are absolved in a way from their crimes, but everybody knows what's going on and they can smile in your face and talk about how they want to support this, administer that, and now they're innocent and God has set me free. And meanwhile, they are very smug knowing that and they know what went down, and by the power of their privilege, they got away with it and they didn't. And so, make of that what you will. I don't know what you would call what happened today justice, but it was legal. And that's how the way our law works. And that's just that. This is not a law class. This is a Eagles sports guy. So that's all I'm gonna say there. Let's move on to something else. I'm tired of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, let's move on.
I'm over that. Let's get into this Wentz thing because we have another player that I think maybe needs to be a little bit more humble, needs to have a little bit more humble pie, needs to take a look in the mirror, listen to Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror, and kind of like take hold of something. I think a lot of stuff has come out recently, not just his trade, but also the reports that we have had come out about certain elements of his behavior. Yes, I'm talking about the report that dropped that during the 2017 Super Bowl run, he voiced his displeasure at not being out there and how uncomfortable he felt that the team should be doing well when he wasn't the fulcrum for that, the person for that. And let it be known, apparently it was Darren Sproles, of course, Sprosey, who got in there and really, went after him and was like, yo, bro, what the fuck? How are you on that shit right now? Now, perhaps the details could have been the discussion started with, do you think if Foles had started the season versus Carson starting the season, would we be in the same place? Like, context matters, right? Because I think that if I had heard a discussion like that, yo, bro, do you think we would still be where we were if Foles was starting? I probably, maybe myself, would have felt like, no, like I
Yeah.
really did contribute something. And Carson did. We all love Nick Foles.
Yep.
We've seen seasons when Nick Foles started. He's never finished a full season in his life.
That's true. That's true.
I,
Remember the 27-2 year?
Okay, I'm not, but he came in halfway and then went
Right.
off, and we were all so excited.
Yep.
Similar to this, he's good
Yep.
at that. He's like the pinch hitter in baseball. Okay,
Yeah.
he comes in and gives you good spots, but a full season, I don't see it. I don't see it. So I don't think Carson was wrong in that respect. What was wrong was voicing it.
That's some
It's
good.
human to feel what you feel.
That's
It's
how
human
you
to
gonna
voice what you feel to certain individuals.
how you gonna be jealous about your own brother? Like you went to battle and war with these guys. Those are supposedly your brothers. Like, how can you feel that way if you're that close to them? Like that's some that it goes deeper than football in that regard. That's like your football team is like your family.
Mhm.
If it's like that, it's absurd. It's absurd. If I ever heard one of my teammates say that, like, oh, I'm happier that we're not having the success we're having because John's hurt. Like that's crazy. That's crazy.
Right. And I don't think, I wonder if, I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I understand the human side of it. Like, I get what you're saying as a player. And that's what I mean in the sense of, was that the right space to voice that opinion? Because as a player, your job is to sacrifice. Your job is to put aside your personal feelings for the betterment of the team. So at that moment, commiserating with all the other injured guys, no, it's not the right moment to tell everybody that you feel some type of way thinking about um, them succeeding without you. Right. I do think it's human to feel that way. I think in general, you want to be needed. You want to be wanted. You want to be adored. And I think that's something that Carson got a lot back in South Dakota. Okay. I remember I read an article the other day and it talked about like we had sort of expected Carson to fit right into Philadelphia because he came from a cold climate. He hunted his own food. He had that sort of tough exterior that made you think he could handle it. But the boy was the golden child of South Dakota. Like during the Super Bowl run, while Carson was injured, the governor took a phone call for a reporter to talk about. Like that's not
Yeah.
happening for other players. Okay, like I'm sorry. At the end of the day, I don't. Maybe Tom Brady, like you know what I mean. Only the most upper echelon players are getting that type of access and privilege, and
That's
he was getting it, and he hadn't even done anything yet.
that's
Um,
true.
so
The
I
natural
think that when
favoritism.
you right when you've been told your whole life that you're special, and then go to a team that told you, hey, all the day that you're special, it does kind of create its own um um funnel system, you know, echo chamber, as it were, where I think it's really hard for you to understand that maybe you're not bright and rosy and smelling like great, you know. Maybe people are a little bit annoyed with you and can't stand your behavior and you're a bit of a dick. Like it's hard when you have been told all the time how amazing you are to have that type of self-awareness. And I do think that is what Carson is lacking. He didn't even realize he was on thin ice with the Colts until a month ago.
Oh yeah, you saw he tried to meet with Jim Irsay, and Jim Irsay didn't want to meet with him. I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
saw they
damn.
spoke later. They spoke later. But I do think it was interesting that he didn't want to meet him face to face. He probably spoke on the phone or whatever, and he was like, "Nah, bro, sorry, nah." And honestly, I don't know what he was expecting. The man came out. Jim Irsay came out at some point in the season, beginning whatever, and said it's really hard. When your quarterback doesn't get vaccinated, that makes it difficult to game plan. It's a big problem. And then Carson was like, nah, I'm gonna just make me and my family have a personal choice to make, and I'm not gonna get vaccinated. And it hurt. And I'm not gonna say it hurt him. He didn't miss any games,
Put a
but I really
strain.
think it hurt him in the fact that Jim Irsay saw that and was like, you ain't coming back.
Yeah, yeah.
That was their first
That and then
point on why he was not retained. Lack of leadership. What do you think they're talking about? COVID,
mm,
in my humble opinion.
and he like if you think about how everything was in training camp, he was throwing with the receivers and the running backs, and then all the stuff in the media, like, oh, he's such a good leader, good teammate. And then the season starts, and then you see him melt. He played well in some spots, but then you see like some moments where he melted down, where he could have made better throws, better decisions, not throwing the
Reckless,
double coverage.
hard headed.
Hard headed.
The three things that reared its ugly head in Philadelphia came into sharp focus within a year with the
Yep.
Colts. You had Frank Wright having to apologize for his job, man. I just this again, the self-awareness, the ability to self-reflect, to be introspective about your own behaviors and how they affect others around you. I do think that that is maybe perhaps a struggle for him, as we've seen, and that I think will always hold him back. Again, we have another player who's very talented when he wants to be, but because of his personality, it's not going to allow his talent to ascend. You know, because
True.
he's not capable of being coached the right way, or he's not capable of taking a step back to the team. He's not capable of being accountable and self-critical in a way that's actually going to help him grow. So I definitely think that if I were Carson, this would be a wake-up call.
Yeah. Three teams in
Huge
2 years.
wake-up call,
Mm.
you know?
Three teams
But
in almost 2 years. Oof.
and it's funny to me because he asked to be traded. I think that is what I keep coming back to. Carson asked to be traded from the Eagles. Okay, he asked to be traded. He said I don't like this atmosphere. Y'all not for me. I'm out. Okay, fine, no worries. I don't know how they were able to have put him in such a perfect position to succeed, but they put him in a perfect position to succeed. All he had to do was take the reins that were given to him and not fuck it up. That's it. That's it.
True. So true.
And his own personality ruined that opportunity with him. Not his play, which by the metrics seems okay, whatever. His personality.
Yep.
Okay, well, I hope it works with the Commanders. That's one of the most shittiest run franchises in the NFL. And apparently, according to a lot of people, you got a shitty personality. So maybe it's a match made in heaven.
Terry McLaurin. Oh, those guys are gonna be like, oh yeah, you
They've
underthrew
been
me.
through
You
worse,
you you overthrew me.
right? Listen, I hope he's out there taking some time, communing with his higher power, and getting right. Because I know he did not want to get traded back to the same division as Philadelphia.
Nope.
And that is going to be absolutely insane to see the games we're going to play, the 2 games we're going to play with him.
Do you
If he
think?
actually wins the starting position.
Do you think we're gonna boo him?
I think we're going to cheer him and boo him. I think there's going to be more like jeers. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because in a certain way we don't respect Carson as a fan base. All any type of respect that we may have had for him is completely and utterly, obliviated. And so I think we think he's a fool.
Yep.
And he's gonna get. We don't respect like of all the franchises in our division, the least respected is the Washington football team.
That's true. That's so true. You know what I just realized, and I'm sure you have, and many others. When Ben Simmons left, he never said a thank you to the Sixers fans. He
Hmm.
never said, and if you think about it, he was drafted here. We cheered and applauded when he was drafted. He was hurt. He became rookie of the year, runner up for defensive player of the year. We've done nothing but support that guy, and it's disappointing that he didn't even take the time or consideration to even like send a social media post or take out an ad and say thank you to the fans that supported me throughout everything. You know what
Well,
I
he
mean?
does have an arbitration case that the Sixers were detrimental to his ability to function, and the
That's the
fans are a
tricky thing.
part of that case. So if
But the
he
fans, the people that
correct.
filled the
Well, no,
stadium and brought
we're a
his
part of his
jersey.
case. They were a part of his case. Isn't that the whole thing? Isn't that the whole reason he decided to show up in Philly so we could boo him, so he could make the case that we're the cause of all of this. You know that this is not like that he doesn't play in a public arena for public consumption, and
Gets paid
boos are a
a lot
part
of
of the
money.
sport. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, so I think he's just cynical. I think he's a
Yeah,
cynical person, and I think
yeah.
that in a certain way, so is Carson, and they're very similar. They have very similar personalities, and it is going to be a tie. Like they're just going to match each other for the most vilified um player in Eagles or Philly lore, Sixers lore in the history. You know, they're going to go down as the most hated.
Karma is best served chilled.
Yes, 100%. And
Ooh,
it will be
circling back.
nice and icy on our fingers when we're holding up another championship and they're wooden all away. So
Let's
time will
see.
tell. Time will tell. I
So,
all things in the moment seem extreme, but when you allow a little bit of time to process it, everything is made clear. So I do think at the end, when everything is said and done, um, whatever Carson's story will be, whatever Ben's story will be, the Sixers will be okay, the Eagles will be okay. You know, they've got an identity, they've got a goal, they know what they need to do to get to it. It's just a matter of time. As long suffering fans, we know how to be patient.
that
That's a
is the
joke.
truth. With thick skin, we got thick skin.
We got thick skin,
We got
okay?
thick
It's not the
skin.
first time we've had the Sixers crap the bed. It's not the first time the Eagles have shot the bed. They were supposed to get Russell Wilson. That didn't happen. Jimmy Garoppolo, blah. Like,
Mm,
nobody's an upgrade over Jalen Hurts. I can't even believe I'm saying this.
I know. I'm proud of
Witt's
you.
not
I'm
here
proud. I'm
either
proud. I'm
for me to
proud.
say
You making
this.
me tear up.
When he's not here, I finally say it. No, no, none of these QBs out here right now are an upgrade over what we have with Jalen Hurts. And in my opinion, it would be in the Eagles' best interest to just see what you can do with surrounding Jalen Hurts with a little bit more talent, a little bit more help. Um, Trading one of our first round picks to accumulate more picks in the next year's draft, which is a little bit more QB rich, and ride it out. Okay, I'm willing to give another vibe season. I'm 100% willing to give another vibe season. The
And
last vibe season was great. We made it to the playoffs. Maybe if I vibe out on this next season, we'll make it we'll go further in the playoffs. One can only hope.
that's true, especially with the Cowboys getting a little weaker, the Giants getting a little. We don't have to worry about the Giants.
Yeah, we don't, and
And the
exactly.
Commanders getting.
Literally, it's just the Cowboys. We are in a 2-man race for NFC East supremacy. It is us and it is the Cowboys. I really do not see any. I don't see the Washington football team nor the Giants mounting any serious challenge when the Giants are picking between Daniel Jones and Mitch Trubisky, allegedly, right? I
Yeah,
mean, you went from starter to fighting for your position. Great. And the Washington football team has Carson Wentz and Tyler Heineke, which I actually believe more in Heineke than Tyler. But Wentz, which is, I can't even believe I just said that. Whip is not here. This is my Mel Cooper. I was wrong about Carson. I was wrong. I was very wrong.
I was what's the opposite of the benefit? I was a Carson apologist too.
Yeah.
And only because we knew his floor was super high.
Right,
And
because
he's
what
done.
he brought to the field when he was playing well was good. Like, no one could say that if anyone says they saw this coming, they're lying.
Yeah.
You're lying.
Yep.
It was never a murmur. It was never a whisper. It was never a rumor. Even when that big story dropped on Philly Voice, no one would believe it.
Nobody believed it. I didn't believe it. I was like, who
I
is
didn't
this?
believe it.
Alton's a hater.
Right.
Christina Anderson.
Even when I saw listen, there were times where I was definitely in my head in the sand. And what only broke me was he said, okay, I want to be traded. Okay, fine. No worries. go about your way. I'm not mad at that. I was even supporting it to an extent because I don't like how Howie Rose may be doing this shit. He shouldn't have drafted Jalen Hurts. These are real legitimate concerns. But now that everything is sort of open and you can see everything in the light of day, you have the fuller context of everything that was going on. I mean, it was just a horrible draft. I don't know. It's hard to say looking back on it because he did give us our first Super Bowl. Like, I'm not going to dispute that.
Yep,
Carson helped us to our first Super Bowl.
I agree.
So, yeah, I guess it was worth it because now we don't have to deal with him anymore.
Yeah, and we have a Super Bowl we'll cherish forever.
And we have a Super Bowl we'll cherish forever. So, bad, terrible personality and all, it worked long enough that we got a Super Bowl out of it. So, you know what? I'm going to just be happy. Thank you, Carson.
And that Foles magic in the postseason was
exactly just a little bit of Wentz's tenacity and a little bit of Foles magic, and that was enough for a beautiful run. And thank you. Both go your ways. I would rather Foles than Carson. Happy ending, and yeah, sayonara. See you.
Didn't he feel some type of way when they built the statue?
I bet that. Listen. If it wasn't, I honestly, it's interesting to me when we kind of know everything now that he lasted as long as he did. But I do think that his ability to sort of really just compartmentalize a lot, I think maybe helped him. Even though I think he is pretty much of an egotist, and not being able to be adored maybe got in his head a lot and showed in his play, getting more reckless, more hard-headed. But at the end of the day, his biggest problem is his inability to take hard coaching.
You know what I just thought of also? When that happened, when that incident happened, when Carson was rehabbing and he was voicing his opinion about the team not being successful without him during that run, I wonder if it got back to Howie and Jeff. And that, I think that is what started the most, that got the wheels turning for them to take Jalen Hurts in that draft. If you really think about it, because he came back, they gave him the extension. He came back, he hurt his back, but then 2019 we had that magical run where we beat the Giants.
I don't know. That doesn't, to me, it was a player thing. Player stuff sometimes doesn't rise to the level of management. I think the Eagles were blindsided by they had an idea of Carson that was not met by the reality of Carson, but they never wanted to see the reality of Carson until he forced it on them by saying he wanted to be traded. And so that's what I honestly think. I think the Eagles were blindsided. They didn't expect Carson to fall apart. Why they shouldn't have expected Carson to fall apart when you had to have already have traded your, Foles because of that whole dynamic. You got rid of Malcolm because of that whole dynamic. You wanted Carson to claim more leadership of the team. So you got rid of the two most, beloved players in the locker room, and then brought in another player by who all respects is beloved in the locker room. I just don't like the decisions. Singularity one by one makes sense, but when you put it in a fuller context, it's like are you what? And again, that's what I'm saying. That the Eagles front office decision making, when you kind of look at it through, if you look one by one, they all look great, right? But that's how they make their decisions. It seems like one by one. They don't see it in the broader scheme of things. Like, as we just paid this man this extension, we let go of two cornerstones of our franchises in order to make him feel more comfortable. Do you really think spending a luxury, and it was a luxury to spend that pick on a QB, is the right move for us? I don't care the type of player he is.
That's true. It was a surprise. It was a surprise. I couldn't believe it.
I'm not gonna sit here and say trading for drafting Jalen Hurts was a good thing. It wasn't, and I don't mean it in the sense of what it did to Carson. I just mean in the sense it didn't make sense. It was a dumb pick in the second round.
We had other holes to fill, like you said.
So many other holes.
You said that so many podcasts before, and like after that draft, I was like, yeah, I'm like, yeah.
It makes sense.
There's so
You
many
could, if
other
you wanted
holes.
a QB, you could have got a QB in the third round or fourth round. You could have got a free agent QB. You did not need to spend a second round pick plays.
That's true.
What is that? Anyway, anyway, well, I'm very keen to see what other QBs are on the move. I think Derek. I would not surprise me if I saw Derek Carr in a Colts or Seahawks or some type of jersey. I think a lot of teams are on the move. Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins.
Okay, it would not surprise me if Kirk Cousins was on the move. Okay,
I can
like you
see that.
mentioned, Ryan Tannehill. I think we are not done yet with the QB carousel.
Mariota.
Man, oh yeah, that's a good one. That's an interesting
He's trying
one.
to get his starter job.
Yeah. Did you see Colin Kaepernick was out there sending tape out again? So,
Yeah, good for
Rick, who
him.
knows what could
Good for
happen?
him. Oh, I have a special place in my heart for that dude, man. I feel so bad what happened to him, what has happened to him. Oh,
Absolutely.
it's
And it's a
crazy.
shame.
I
I
don't think
mean,
it's a chance. I do.
realistically, I don't know if he'll ever get a job again in the NFL, but his call to action is bigger than that.
Yep.
So, I just wish him all the best in his endeavors. And it's just going to be a very interesting off season. And with that, we're going to do a little ad break for the folks. Okay, we always got to pay the bills, so bear with us. As you know, we partner with AmazeMedia Labs to be the official Eagles podcast of the Pigskin Network. And as a part of that, we are partnered with DraftKings. All right. And you college basketball fans can join in the action on the court during the biggest tournament of the year with the DraftKings Sportsbook. Turn your team's victory into your own big win. New customers can bet $5 on any team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. It's that simple. If they win, you win. If the sports book isn't available in your state yet, you can still join the college hoops action with DraftKings pools. Everyone can play free pools all March long for a shot of a share of over $250,000 in prizes. Simply join a pool and answer questions like who will make it into the next round and who will hit the most three-pointers. Then track your results. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TPPN. Okay, it's running right down on your screen. TPPN. Bet $5 on any college hoops team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. If they win, you win. With promo code TPPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 and older, restrictions applies. See show notes for details. That sounds like a crazy amazing deal.
Yeah, it is.
Please hit that promo and get that DraftKings deal. All right?
March Madness.
March Madness.
Tuesday.
Now,
Tuesday.
Tuesday started. Ooh, I wish I was into college basketball. No, I don't.
I love it. Sorry, that's like
That's your third love, huh?
one of
Yeah.
I think playing basketball when I was from kindergarten on, like we'd always have like the winter tournaments and stuff, and that was a part of it. Watching March Madness and being a part of that. And one year, my 10-year-old Biddy Pennsylvania Biddy team, we won the state championship, and we got invited to Kenner, Louisiana, and we played in the Superdome, and it was '94 Michigan and University of North Carolina, the infamous Chris Webber timeout game.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That
That's
and we,
awesome.
yeah, it was great time. I still remember it.
Wow, those are great memories. Those are great and it's great that you have, your passion has continued on, and it's great to be able to share it with kids and your kids and just everybody.
I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, Getting back, turning the page a little bit outside of March Madness, even though the NFL free agency has been madness. I want to get into some Eagles trades that never were, and your thoughts on what does that tell you about the Eagles mindset this offseason. Okay, so For Birds fans that don't know or unfamiliar, it came out a couple days ago that the Eagles almost had a deal in place to trade for Calvin Ridley of the Atlanta Falcons, but then the Falcons backed out for some reason, didn't tell the Eagles, and then we found out, of course, that Calvin Ridley has been suspended for an entire year for betting, allegedly, he says, $1,500 on the Falcons to win against the Jaguars. Um, why a man would be willing to forfeit millions of dollars for a $1,500 bet, I really don't know. I think it's important to say that Calvin Ridley had been stepped away from the team at the time that he placed the bet to deal with some mental health issues. And we don't know what state of mind he was in when he decided he was going to do that, make that decision, of course. But as always, actions have consequences, and sometimes the NFL actually punish you for those actions. So, what are your thoughts on this, John? What do you think about this almost trade and Calvin Ridley's decision?
We dodged the bullet, but I mean the talent was there. It's tricky with COVID and everything. At the time, it was like the height of COVID or coming back from, and I think maybe that played a part of it. Um, he would have been a good addition. There's definitely familiarity with it. We talked about it previously in our free agent targets um, to look at previously. Uh, he would have been a good fit. Would have been a good fit. It's just he wasn't interested in playing for the Falcons. For the Falcons, even though they traded Julio, that was his chance to prove that he was the number one. And pressure is something else. That was
Oh
his
yeah,
opportunity to be the
absolutely.
true number one receiver for the Falcons. True number one. Without Julio,
It's very interesting to me. I think about it and I say, like you say, the talent is there, and again, we go back to what's going on with the person. It doesn't matter what your skills are if you yourself aren't right, if you yourself aren't in the best state of mind to be at your best level and to be at your most optimal level. And so, clearly that was a situation going on with Calvin Ridley. Like you say, the Eagles dodged a bullet, but it sucks because we don't have a bona fide wide receiver to go to pair with the Devontae Smith. And so now we have to kind of pick through some other options. I know there's no way Amari Cooper's getting traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know if I would even want him if he were cut. Um, I heard that the Vikings potentially are on the trading block for a lot of things. So maybe Adam Thielen is available. I know he's had a couple injuries in the past, but he still seems, he would be maybe reliable. I saw some talk about Cole Beasley maybe being moved, and I'm not a Cole Beasley fan,
good in the slot.
but
That's about it.
yeah, exactly. But so I mean, they keep talking up Quest Watkins, but I mean, honestly, at this point, when you hear the Eagles talking up a player, assume that player is due to be traded
Or move,
or moved or
or
cut.
something. They're adding
Something. Something. He ain't long for
we
the
love
Eagles.
we love Quiz. It's reported the Eagles have signed Brian Tackleberry from University.
Oh yeah. Carson's like my right hand. My ring finger. What would I do without him? Oh, the Eagles have traded Carson Wentz to the Colts for a first round. Oh, Jalen. Oh, we're determined to build a team around Jalen. Determined to build a team around Jalen. The Eagles have been known to make a serious offer for Russell Wilson, but were rebuffed. The Eagles have been making serious inquiries into the Deshaun Watson thing. Keep an eye out for the Eagles when it comes to Deshaun Watson. Anyway, so I've definitely taken to reading between the lines. I know when my GM is obfuscating. I know when he's trying to hide from certain things, when you have to read between the lines. And I don't know why you wouldn't assume that Howie was in on every single call, trying to make a call and trying to make a deal for this, that, and the third. So, I like the idea that they're not going to sit on their hands. It'd be interesting. I have a feeling the Eagles are going to make some trade. Like, it's just in Howie's DNA.
Hmm.
Um, sometimes he tries to learn from his decisions, so he course corrects a little bit too much. It'll be interesting to see what he does in the free agent in the wide receiver position. Um, we really do need a wide receiver, but there are a lot of other needs. So I don't know. What do you think, John?
It's funny because before the show on Twitter, I saw that um, one of our Eagles Twitter brethren posted that the Eagles were looking to trade for Patriots receiver N'Keal Harry, who was a
Oh,
former first round pick from Arizona State,
hmm.
and he was disgruntled. Remember, we had the joint practices with the Patriots. He was disgruntled, but he still reported to camp. He wanted. I didn't at the end of the end of the end of the previous season. Didn't he go to ownership and say he demanded to be traded?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's interesting. It's a lot of the Patriots' recent draft picks haven't really panned out. So it's interesting to me to see. I think that tends to happen a couple years into a lot of these franchise regimes. The same thing happened to Andy Reid after a while. His draft picks at first he was hitting on them, but when he wasn't hitting on his picks anymore, or his coaches had gotten poached so much that he didn't have the same level. He didn't have the same guys that he once had to kind of
Mhm.
help him with things.
It's
It
true.
shows up in a lot of ways.
True.
We really underestimate all that goes into building a championship level team. And so I think that, when you see really good franchises starting to struggle here or there, it's because of those hidden pieces really not being up to the standard that they once were.
That's true.
Yeah. So
And seeing people selected after them having so much success in other
exactly.
places, you're like, damn, we spent a first round pick on this guy. That guy, who's a two-time All Pro in his second year, was drafted in the third round. So we passed on that guy three times or
Yeah.
two times.
Yeah, absolutely. It's insane. It's crazy. Um, so I'm definitely interested to see. I think it would definitely be in the Eagles' best interest to go out there and, like I said, get somebody. I saw Khalil Mack got traded. Why weren't we in on that call? I mean,
I
that doesn't seem
like
that
that.
bad of a deal for Khalil Mack. I don't know.
I one of my favorite Madden teams is the Chargers,
Hmm.
and pairing Khalil Mack with Joey Bosa. Oh, I
Scary.
like that. It's scary.
We're gonna
But you know
see.
what? I have the perfect remedy for the Eagles if they want to do it. We have the cap space. This guy is a future Hall of Famer that nobody, I mean, there was a story that came out today that nobody would think will want to come here.
Ooh.
And his name is Chandler Jones from the Arizona
Oh,
Cardinals. This
interesting.
dude, not this dude has 107 sacks, career sacks.
Yeah.
He's a 3-4 outside linebacker, but he said today that he never had the opportunity to pick the scheme that he played in. He just got forced to adapt and be in a system. So he now has the opportunity to pick the scheme that fits him the most. And he's a 4-3 DN at heart. He was a 4-3 DN at Syracuse. He was lighter than the 265 he is now. I think it was like 230 when he came when he came into the league from Syracuse. Um, that guy just knows how to get sacks. He knows how to generate pressure. He has many moves in his arsenal, and it can be had for 12 million a year, 14 million a
Okay.
year. That will be to get a future Hall of Famer that who's not really long in the teeth that could give you 3 more years. Pair with Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat. I don't know if they want to dish out that money, seeing that we just re-signed Jason Kelsey to that 1 year, $14 million deal.
Highest paid center in the NFL. Worth it. Every cent.
He truly is.
Um, no, that'd be interesting. That'd be interesting. I'd be down for Jones. I like that Bobby Wagner got cut. I I think he still got something in the tank. He certainly is an upgrade over all the other linebackers we have. Okay,
Oh,
whatever he has left in the tank,
yes.
he's worth that upgrade.
I
So
had him number
yeah,
one on my list. I had him number one. 170 combined tackles last year. He had
wow.
170 tackles last year at
Yeah,
age
no, I think
31.
we could use that type of production on our team.
He is
You
the
know,
he when I think back to drafts, and I felt the same way about Brian Dawkins that he was going to be a star. That Bobby Wagner, when he was coming out of Utah State, I was like, this guy's going to be a star. The Eagles got have
hmm
to get him. We missed him.
yep. Of course we did.
But
It was
he
you pipe dream, Bobby. Oh, linebacker for the um
let's bring the water boy in.
right. No, I definitely think there are a lot of good players. That segues into our last segment of the night because as you see, I'm done. I'm done for the night. Okay, I'm out. All these QBs took me out. Um, there are a lot of free agents, pending free agents. It's going to be, I think, a it's a weak draft in certain ways, which makes the run that we're seeing with the QBs and all these wide receivers now and all these record-setting deals being made and the players locking up the teams locking up their players really soon. That's letting you know what they think about the quality of the draft and how a lot of players are going to get paid probably more than their talent is worth. So it's going to be interesting. So I want to start with that idea, like the free agents, what's going on in the NFL. There's the cap space has jumped, I think like 25 million or something. So everybody's got a lot of cap space.
Mhm.
A couple teams still got to get underneath the cap. They got time. Free agency starts. Tell me when, John. Wednesday. Okay,
Wednesday.
so we got a couple teams need to get on the cap by Wednesday. The Eagles are sitting pretty. We got a lot of money. We got a lot of picks. We got a lot of things, assets. We got a great line. What do you see happening when free agency starts next Wednesday?
It's gonna be mayhem. We're gonna see the Amari Coopers and Jimmy Garoppolo's on the move. As far as the Eagles, I see
Yeah.
the Eagles adding a guy like Eddie Goldman from the Bears, defensive
Mm.
tackle. Um, he was just recently cut, and he was a
Mhm.
former first rounder, former second rounder. But he had a first round grade coming out of Florida State. But in the event, little breadcrumb I read earlier, teams are lining up to trade for Fletcher Cox. Now that hurts. That hurts. I,
Interesting.
I
I
want
have
Fletcher to
been
stay.
I have been advocating for Fletcher to be traded for quite some time. Interesting. That I wouldn't mind that. It wouldn't. I'm gonna be honest. Not no disrespect, Fletch. You've done a lot. Appreciate you, but you ain't who you were. So
He
whatever they
delivered.
could get for him would be a plus to me in my mind.
It's tough. It's tough because it's like, do you bank on what he's done in the past, or do you bank on the money, the money and what he could provide next year? I see
Honestly,
owners.
it's cost prohibitive to cut him, and trading him also wouldn't really help us that much. So they would have to be wowed by the deal. I just think I don't know. To me, it feels like I don't mean to make a joke of it, but to me, it feels like he lost a step after his toe injury. So he just doesn't have the same. Once in a while, the old flat shows up, and then you're like, okay, like maybe it is still there. Maybe it's not a talent, it's a desire issue. You know, not a will to, but a want to. Um, but I don't know. I really don't know. So mm, I don't know. It'd be very interesting to see him get traded. One person I do know who isn't going anywhere is Jason Kelsey, and thank God for that. We can only just thank God for that. Um,
I heard Rodney McLeod too.
yeah, I wouldn't mind him getting traded.
Do you see all the awards he won? He won like 2 humanitarian awards. I'm like, good for him. I really like
Oh yeah,
Rodney McLeod.
Rodney McLeod is a excellent human being, and
Yep.
he was a great asset and a great fit to our franchise and to our program. But 2 ACL tears later, I don't know. I don't know if he has what we need to be a really effective, aggressive defense. And so I'm not happy about the idea of looking for two safeties right now, but I'd rather look for it now than be again late about kind of preparing, our defense. I do think that if you want a Jonathan Gannon defense, you're going to have to invest in certain areas that we have underinvested in for a very long time. Linebacker, talking about you.
Bobby
So
Wagner.
right, pay the man. To the tail, Howie. To the tail. Excuse me. Tickle in my throat. Safeties. Defense. Excuse me.
Corner.
So it's just I just need definitely them to understand that the NFL has changed. The defense of the NFL has changed. We need to adapt with it, and we need to be someone who can a little bit faster, stronger, more dynamic. We need playmakers on the defense, and we don't have playmakers on the defense. We just don't. And the ones that we are asking to be aren't. They're not. So do better, Howie.
I would be open to playing Rodney in that Malcolm role, like that Joker where he's like up near the line, like as a third or fourth
Yeah,
linebacker,
as a
like the race, like the racer that
yeah,
Malcolm was. But we need another safety to go with it.
right.
If
I,
we select Kyle Wilson in the draft, I would be ecstatic. That kid is going to be good. And he
I'm
can fit
I'm
right in.
very excited. There are pieces there. I do think that we're not so far off, right? I like us getting to the playoffs. Show me we're not so far off. That the core strength of the team is good and sound. But I do get nervous when I think about all of the rest of Andy's players kind of leaving, and then we only have Howie's picks kind of remaining, and how
Mhm.
strong that core will be and how impactful that core will be. It's going to be interesting to see what goes on. I do think he's a better free agent uh wheeler
Later.
and dealer than he is when he's drafting.
That's true.
So to me, I want to see him make two picks on the offense and the defense. Okay, and I want them to be impactful players. I don't want these middle of the line margin fillers. Oh yeah, they're good. They're good. They're good. They're good starters, but they're not great. I
Yeah.
want Howie to invest in a different setting player. That's what we need. That's what we're missing.
Yep.
And we'll see.
Would you bring Steven Nelson back?
Absolutely not.
He's gonna want a lot of money. But if it was a team friendly deal, I would consider it. But
No, I don't really find what he gave us to be like what he gave us. Anybody could have gave us. I almost feel like, especially
he was
down the stretch.
decent. He was,
Um, so I'm not really sold into that. I understand having two lockdown quarters is not really the biggest. It's not that great, but I would like somebody to pair, with Slay. I want some DNs.
mhm.
I want a physical defense.
Yep.
Defense.
A defense that's going to dare the other team to wish you would try to run the ball on me.
Wish you would. I want a 2 interceptions a game. Like I want a mentality that is, you thought. Oh,
Mhm.
you thought.
Like
Okay, that's the type
like
of
the
mentality
2004
I
Eagles. Remember the 2004 defense with
yeah.
Dawkins and Michael Lewis and Lido and Sheldon. Oh, that was
I
and
want
like
a defense that
Trotter.
makes teams nervous when they step on the field. Okay, I want teams defense where they're game planning. Don't throw this way. Don't funnel the play this way. Don't what name me one player outside of Slay that defenses are circling to say play away from that guy. Funnel the game away from that guy. Used to be Fletch.
Used to be Fletch. Maybe TJ Edwards now, but teams throw over the
Don't make me
middle like
laugh, TJ Edwards.
he had a good year.
Yeah,
Surprisingly.
he had a good year.
Avante. Avante in the slot.
Maybe Alonso in the slot. Maybe. But no. No.
We need a true superstar.
Correct.
That's for sure.
Correct. We need a difference maker. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. We need a difference maker. All right, Birds fans. That has been another great episode of Three Birds and a Punt. Please make sure you subscribe and download to the podcast streaming on Apple, Anchor, and Spotify. We're also on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, actually. Okay. As you can see, you can also follow us at Three Birds and a Punt on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Again, okay. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Three Birds and a Punt. Okay. My name is Afia. You can follow me at According to Afia on Twitter. It was a pleasure. I'm joined as always by my co-host John. You can follow him. Let him know, bro.
You can follow me at John Monroe Jr.
John Monroe Jr. Okay.
on Twitter.
On Twitter. And y'all stay safe out there. And as always, go Birds.
Go Birds. It's a pleasure.
All right. Have a good night.
Have a good night.